No.
Oh.
I don't. Yeah, I've covered the ones that I've covered like 5 or 6 times with y'all. Getting the R, getting the plotting, the scatter plot, and finding the equation. That's what's going to be on the test. And you're only talking about 20% of the test. Okay, so you're not talking about a lot of. You're not talking about a lot of questions. You're talking probably 3 questions or 4, something like that.
On 5 point, on the ones you're not going over?
No. Oh, you talking about chapter 5? I thought you were talking about 4.1 and 4.2.
No, I'm talking about chapter 5.
No, if I don't cover them, they're not on the test. So mark them out. I don't even think y'all can get in the homework for that section. Can you? I don't think you can. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and look at probability. Well, before I look at probability, I'm going to draw a picture. And I always do this because this is how I explain probability, because all of you have used probability before.
Really?
Yeah, you've used it before. I don't know if you ever traveled Wild Hog Road, but a lot of people have.
What
And
road?
a lot of people have traveled other roads like Wild Hog Road. This right here, now my pen don't work right because I'm in AC 137. So I'm having to write 8 inches to the left of the cursor. So y'all just bear with me. This right here is West Anderson. It's where I live. Okay. And Wild Hog Road is a 2-lane road that goes from West Anderson. This is Townville up in here. It's hard for me to write with this pen, I'm sorry. And this is West Anderson, and this is Highway 24. And this is double bridges. I'll put the double bridges right here. That's the double bridges if you, anyway. And up here, go about 12 or 15 miles. And there's a road here called Clemson Boulevard. The Waffle House in Pendleton is right here. The Pendleton High School is right about here. Just giving y'all some kind of orientation. Y'all know where Wild Hog Road is now?
No.
Okay, well, forget it. Wild Hog Road is a 2-lane road that goes from Highway 24 to Pendleton. Okay? The QT in Pendleton is right here. So y'all should be able to know there's a red light right here, and then QT's on the right. There's Milliken out here. They're doing a lot of construction right here behind this Waffle House. Anyway, the road is about 12, 15 miles long, and it takes you about 30 minutes to travel it. Even the guy that goes, I can travel it in 10 seconds. Okay? Why? Because whenever you get on Wild Hog Road, there is a chapter of the Little Blue-Haired Ladies Club that are on Wild Hog Road. Now, who is the Little Blue-Haired Ladies Club? Come on, y'all know who they are. Who are they?
The people in your way.
Yep, that are only going what?
20.
23 miles an hour, to be exact. And of course, a lot of the immature people go, oh, just pass them. Well, you can't pass on Wild Hog Road because there's so much traffic, and it's the way that Wild Hog Road is, you're prone to have a head-on collision, okay? So, you get up to Pendleton High School, and Pendleton High School is about a quarter of a mile from this red light. Red light's right here. And just as soon as you pass Pendleton High School, and you get about 200 feet from the red light, what do you tell yourself? That little old lady is going to turn left. And what happens just as soon as you say that to yourself? she turns on her left turn signal. How many times has this happened to you?
Every day.
Okay, so y'all, do you know who we've got in our presence? Miss Dennis. Can she tell the future?
Nope.
Good job, Miss Dennis. You cannot tell the future. No
But
one
I
can tell the future. No one. Do you know what to tell? Ask somebody if they tell you they can tell the future. What's the number one question you should ask a person if they can tell the future?
If they're a Satan worshiper.
No. What is the lottery numbers for Friday night's lottery? Oh, well, that's not what I do. No, you don't do it. You're a fraud. Get away from me. I used to have a friend. Notice I said used to. You know what she told me? She told me that she could take my dreams, if I wrote down my dreams, and she could tell me my future with my own dreams.
Definitely a Satan worshiper.
Do you know why that person's not my friend anymore? Because I said she was a nut. I told her she was a nut, and I said, if you tell people that, they're going to think you're a what?
Which,
A nut. Why would I say that? Why would I say that? Because I'm mean?
Yep.
No. Who makes up your dreams? Who is the author of your dreams?
You are.
You are.
Your own mind.
So let me get this straight. Now think about this, Miss Yoakum, since you're the only person, you and Miss Dennis, the only people that have a video camera on your. You're going to, there's Miss McAgee, I knew that would trigger her. If you are the author of your own dreams, why do you need somebody to tell you what they mean? Okay? It's a bunch of crap. That's what it is. Now, why do I say that? How many of you have heard of 20 questions before?
I've played that.
Okay, I want Miss
Yeah.
McAgee, I want you to tell me what or how you play 20 questions.
So you have the person who is thinking of somebody And-
Or something.
or something, yeah. And then other people ask 20 different questions, and they have to be yes or no questions to try to determine what he or she is thinking of.
And what's the object of the game?
To figure out who the person is thinking of.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about ESP, reading people's minds.
She's being a devil worshiper.
What what else is that called when you ask somebody 20 questions and you get it down to what they're thinking of? What else is that called?
It's called
Starts
getting
with a
on
D.
your nerve. Getting on your damn nerve.
No, a mathematical term.
Division?
Close.
Deduction.
Deduction. Let's say that Miss Dennis is at the fair, Anderson County Fair, and I have a booth to where I'm a fortune teller. And Miss Dennis comes into my booth and gives me $25 to tell her fortune.
Yeah, that's a dream.
Already, I know that she is already either depressed or she's unsure of herself. Why?
So I gave you $25 like a fool.
Yeah, but that's one reason. And she's coming into my tent because she wants me to foretell her future. And what am I going to do after I took her money and after I know that she doesn't feel good about herself or she's insecure or whatever? What am I going to start doing?
Making up stuff.
No, I'm going to start asking her what?
Questions.
I'm going to start asking her questions and I'm going to deduce what her favorite color is based on the questions that she's answering. So okay, if nobody can tell the future, and people use deduction all the time, then how did Miss Dennis tell us that that person was going to turn left?
It was just a guess.
No, it wasn't. There is a fine line between guessing and actually predicting something. Now, I didn't say the future, I said predicting something. What is probability? Probability, I'm going to give you a Hubertism term. Probability is assigning, I don't know if it has two ends or not. I think it does.
No, one end.
Assigning a number between 0 and 1, which means a decimal, predicting an outcome based on logic, which also includes deduction, experience, or mathematics, which usually is stats. How many of you, Miss Yoakum, I'm going to pick on you because I know you know Wild Hog Road, don't you? Yes or no?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. How did I know that person wasn't going to Sandy Springs? Here's Sandy Springs down here where Michelin Plant is. How do I know that she's not going to Sandy Springs, or he or she's not going to Sandy Springs? Can you answer that, Miss Yoakum, if you know Wild Hog Road?
A lot of people that are taking that road are going towards Penn or Clemson.
Exactly. If you have experience with Wild Hog Road, you know that there are about 3 different roads that go, one right behind Pendleton High School, that go to Sandy Springs. So somebody tell me what the experience tells me about going up and down. If I know that a person is going to Sandy Springs, they would have turned off of Wild Hog Road 3 other places. What about the logic? Miss Yoakum works right about here, don't you, Miss Yoakum? Right there at the Ingle, right there at the Walgreens, right there. Okay? Who uses Wild Hog Road, Miss Yoakum?
People that are going
People
to
from North
Clemson.
Anderson use Wild Hog Road? Who uses it? Your mic is. Now, Mr. Junkins not giving you the answers, is he?
No.
Okay. Who uses Wild Hog Road, Miss Yoakum?
People from West Anderson.
People from West Anderson. Because there's no other way to get to Clemson unless you go around Clemson Boulevard up here at the mall. Here's the mall. And you go Clemson Boulevard. What about people from Townville? Well, hell, if they want to go to Clemson, they just take I-85. I-85 is right there. So who is the only people using Wild Hog Road that's going north? They're from West Anderson. And logic dictates, if you're from West Anderson, you're using Wild Hog Road. And if you don't turn off at number 1 number 2, number 3, and you're on Wild Hog Road heading north, then what does logic tell you? You're heading to 2 places, either Clemson or what? Pendleton. So, did Miss Dennis tell the future, or did she just use logic and experience? She just used logic and experience. So what do people do that say they can tell the future? They do the same damn thing. Because in some cases, what's the probability they're going to get something right? Well, let me ask you a question. I can predict right now that Mr. Michelle will meet a woman one day and get married. Okay, I just predicted his future. And what probability have I got that I'm wrong or right? Okay, nobody's going to even tell me?
Probably a 50-50.
50-50, why? Because either he's not going to get married or he is going to get married. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to predict right now that Miss Dennis is going to be a millionaire one day. Wait a minute, Miss Dennis. Either you're going to be a millionaire or you're what?
Not.
Not. So what's the probability?
Not.
What's the probability, Miss Dennis?
50-50.
50-50. Most of the time, what did you say in 20 questions, Miss Macagina? What does a person have to answer? Yes or what?
No.
So you got a 50-50 shot at guessing what they're talking about. It's all based on logic and what?
Experience.
Experience. Logic. What about the experience? Well, being a fortune teller for 20 years and working the carnies and all the fairs, I can tell you that Miss Dennis, when she walks in, looking all droopy and sad and looking like she lost her best friend, I can tell that she is not very sure of herself and she is very, depressed. So I can automatically say, Miss Dennis, you've lost somebody or you've come out of a bad relationship, haven't you? I can say that right from the get-go, and you know what she's going to think? Oh my gosh, she can tell my future. It's all a scam. All you have to do is ask the person that tells you they can tell you the future, ask them one question. And what is that? What are the lottery numbers for Friday night? Oh, well, that's not what I do. Okay, then get away from me. You're a fraud. Get away from me. How many of you have met somebody that could tell you the future or read your dreams or read your palm or read the tea leaves? How many of you have heard of somebody like that?
I have.
But that's
They're full of it.
That's exactly what most groups are.
I don't care if they're your mother, I don't care if they're your father, I don't care if they're your sister, your cousin, or a friend of yours. They're full of it. Probability of an event happening. No coughing in class. Probability of an event happening. That's supposed to be an E. Let me erase it. The probability of an event happening is, that's the way you write it, is equal to the number of times something happens over the number of times it could happen. Now there's two types of probability. There's what we call the classic probability, which is called theoretical. Watch it, I always want to put an H in there. I always want to put an H behind that R. So I hope I spelled that right. Which means based on the math. Based on the math or what you know. And I want you to underline know. Mr. Michelle, well, let me just ask this first.
Yes,
Who
sir.
in here knows a deck of cards pretty well? Somebody tell me.
Yeah, I'd say I know a deck of cards pretty well.
Okay. What is the probability of picking a king out of a deck of cards?
4 out of 52. So
Okay, I want you to turn on your video right now, Mr. Michelle, and show everybody your cards that you got in front of you.
I don't have a deck of cards in front of me.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Michelle can tell the future. How did you know that, Mr. Michelle?
Because me and my friends play poker a lot.
And you
What night?
What was that?
And what does that mean about a deck of cards?
We look at decks of cards a lot.
So that means you what?
We use reasoning.
Yeah, and what's the word I underlined? You blank
No,
a deck
we
of
know
cards.
We know a deck of cards.
No, a deck of cards. He told me the probability of picking a king without looking at a deck of cards. So either he's magical or he knows the material and he's basing it on mathematics. Well, what's the opposite of theoretical? What's the opposite of somebody that teaches in academia for hundreds of years? Who's the opposite of somebody that teaches in academia? Somebody that has a real job, right? So what's the opposite of theoretical or classic probability? That is actually what? Done. And that's called the physical probability. Physical probability is sometimes called relative, and I can't, let me start over. Oh, man. Y'all know why I'm here today?
Yeah, because you have to be
Because I have to be. You know what I'm thinking about doing?
quitting.
I'm thinking about having Monday and Tuesday of every week for homework questions. So I could just come up here and just do 1 or 2 questions and leave. Relative frequency. Because the technology's not right. Relative frequency. Relative is based on the observations. So if let me just start over, hold on. If Mr. Michelle takes a deck of cards and he deals out 1 card, shuffles it, deals out 1 card, shuffles it, deals out 1 card, does that 10 times. Observations. So let's say Mr. Michelle draws 10 cards, shuffle, or one card shuffle, 1 card shuffle, 1 card shuffle, 1 card shuffle. He puts the card back in the deck and shuffles, and he does that 10 times. 1 card, put it back in the deck, writes down what he gets, and he does that 10 times. And he gets 1 king. Well, the probability of a king in classic probability is 4 out of 52. I need somebody to crank that out on the calculator for me and give me 2 digits. Probability of a king is what? Point what? Give me 2 decimal points.
0.07.
0.07. And the probability of a king here that Mr. Michelle did with a deck of cards is 0.1. These do not equal. Which leads us to the large number rule. What is the large number rule? The large number rule, I'm just going to have to go to the next page. I used to be able to make this smaller, but since the pen don't work right, I can't do it. The large number rule, or rule of large numbers, basically says the more you try, the closer the classic probability, the physical probability will approach the classic probability.
Question.
Hold on, let me finish. The physical probability will equal the classic probability. All right, what's your question?
The rule of large numbers, is that part, oh. Never
Is
mind.
that what? Is that
Never-
what?
I was gonna say, is that part of the relative frequency, but it's part of both,
No,
right?
it has both of them. Now, I like to tell students, it's kind of CYA. And we all know what CYA means, right?
No.
Cover your backside. Cover your backside. Let me ask you a question. Let's say I work at Michelin, and I don't work at Michelin and come home black. I work at Michelin, and I work at the Crystal Palace up there above Greenville on I-85. Y'all know where I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That big
No.
old building that's made out of clear glass
Oh,
and
yeah.
plastic.
I
Okay?
used to work there.
And I make $150,000 a year, and my title is quality assurance. And I do the quality assurance for all the Southeast. Okay? And I predict, and I pulled 10 tires. All right, let's make it 100. I pull 100 tires out of Sandy Springs, and no, just forget it. I'm about ready to quit right now and go home. This is ridiculous. Y'all imagine writing in your notebook, but writing to the left 8 to 12 inches of where your pencils hit the paper. Okay, so I pull 100 tires. I pull 10 from Sandy Springs. I pull 10 from Greenville. I pull 10 from up there around Taylor's. I pull 10 from whatever. And I get 100 tires. And I predict for 2022 at the board of directors meeting, for 2022, I say that 21% of the tires that we make are going to be defective, and we're going to have to recycle them. That comes up to $1.5 million for 2022. 2022 rolls around, and we have another meeting, and it costs, and the defectives is actually 28%, which cost Michelin $2.3 million. What's going to happen to me?
Might get fired.
I'm going to get fired. I don't care what daisies or buttercups or you know, whatever snowflake you are, you're going to get fired. Why? Why am I going to get
Because you
fired?
Because you predicted incorrectly.
I predicted it incorrectly because I only pulled how many tires?
21%, or no, you pulled
No, I
100
only pulled
tires.
100 tires. If I'm being paid $150,000 by Michelin to be the quality assurance director for the Southeast, are you going to pull more than 100 tires?
Yes.
Yes, that's the law of large numbers. Here's another definition of the law of large numbers. What is the probability of tails on a coin?
50%.
50%. Oh. 0.5. 0.5. How many flips does it take an actual coin? A couple of MIT students did this, and I'm not going to go through the story. How many flips does it take for a coin to reach tails of 0.5? Does anybody want to take a guess?
10 times.
10 times. Anybody else want to take a guess?
2 times.
The MIT students did a project on the large number rule and 100,000 flips. Whatever. The probability of tails, or whatever they were measuring, heads or tails, came out to be 0.99995. So somebody tell me, what can you obtain from the large number rule? One of the third rules of life. The third rule of life. The first rule of life is nothing's free. The second rule of life is there's always one person that's going to screw it up. And the third rule of life, you get out of it what you what?
Put into it.
Put into it. Your parents did good, Miss Macagina. All right? I got about 10 rules of life. Those are the top 3.
I got 2 rules of life.
You got 2 rules of life? What are they?
Not everything that is stupid is sinful, but everything sinful is stupid. Don't be sinful and don't be stupid.
Yeah, that's true. And the 4th rule of life, my 4th rule, you sleep with dogs, you get what?
Please.
You get fleas.
I
No,
thought you
All right.
no, you get lots of love. You get lots of love.
No, you don't. You sleep with dogs, you get fleas.
Well,
That means if you hang around bad people, you pick up their bad what?
Habits.
Habits.
Mr. Hubert,
Yes.
what is that P and the T in parentheses? What is that?
Probability of tails.
Okay. Like tails,
Tails, heads or tails?
Okay.
Now, basically, I have covered 5.1, but we'll finish covering it. You can go ahead and start working on it, but I want to hurry up and get out of here because this don't work, and I got a 12:20 class, and I'm going back home to teach it. All right, so what I'm going to do, let me see, somebody, let me see, somebody wrote me something. Yeah, well, I did not say, I left out divine intervention, Miss Macagina, okay? I left out, I'm talking about people. I'm not talking about divine entities. So let's leave the divine entities out of the conversation, okay? I appreciate your thoughts on the matter, though. That is good that you brought that up. But, you know, I'm going to leave God and Allah and Buddha and Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Seuss. I'm going to leave those out, okay?
Okay.
Anybody else got any other questions or concerns about today? Let me go ahead and get the roll. I've got to close this up so I can see the roll. So hold on just a second. Actually, the book of Proverbs is nothing but what? Fortune telling and parables. All right.
let me get rid of this and let me turn off the presentation and the recording.